James Segeyaro, who amassed 150 NRL appearances, played with 6 different NRL clubs, including representative honors and a Dally M Award, has a painful story, including adoption, before making the NRL stardom. Born on November 11, 1990 in Goroka, Papua New Guinea, James moved to Cairns, Australia, at age 6 with his mother and siblings. His father, Ifiso Segeyaro, a former PNG Rugby League international, stayed behind, initially providing financial support. Unfortunately, his mother remarried an Australian, leaving father Segeyaro in Papua New Guinea, whose business was faced with challenges and him not sending money anymore to son James and siblings in Australia. Amid these struggles, James found solace in rugby league and was later adopted by his best friend's parents, Dean and Susan Barnard, who offered him stability during his formative years. Now, let's hear James recount his story in his own words with the KB Show. Before that, don't forget to subscribe to Narrate PNG, because we will provide the second part of this segment on this channel.
All right. So I was born in Papua New Guinea, Goroka, which is in the highlands in PNG. Born there. Went to school. Went to kindergarten, and from kindergarten moved over to Australia. Yeah. The reason why we moved over to Australia, my dad owned like a sort of like a BWS, alcohol distributing company.
Yeah, okay.
It's probably where I get my entrepreneur skills from, because he was quite an entrepreneur himself. He owned like a BWS similar type thing. He was into like.
And this was in Queensland?
No, this is in Papua New Guinea. In Papua New Guinea, yeah. So okay. he first off started off writing for the paper, for the Post Courier. Yeah. He was and before that he was a well-known rugby league player. Played for the Kumals and playing like like other Papua New Guinea players or that's played footy before, and playing footy for Papua New Guinea or the Kumals is like a high achievement in the country. It's definitely up there with close to being like a politician, or because you've got so much power as well. And
bro, you see some of the footage of like when Australia, like the Prime Minister's 13 goes over there, and it's just like chaos in the streets, man. It's just that nuts. I love it over there, eh?
So yeah, he was a pretty handy player, and from that he built sort of a name up for himself, and then went into sports journalist sort of thing, and then he ended up venturing into sort of buying empty bottles and then reselling them back to like a 4X sort of type company where they use the bottles again and then they fill it up. Oh, yeah. So he was into that, and then he ended up becoming a distributor of becoming like a BWS through that. So then him and my mum created this business called Negasor Distributors. Ended up being pretty wealthy, like very good business orientated people, and then from there he ended up owning nightclubs and into a logging company and whatsoever, so forth and so forth. So what happened was, previous to us moving over to Australia to Cairns, my dad ended up getting robbed. Yeah, like he was back in the day. He used to go to the banks every Friday with the cash, and with like cash, and then used to deposit that way instead of So anyway, long story short, ended up sort of in a scuffle, almost getting robbed all his money, and then he just like straight away, man, this place ain't good enough for my kids. I want to move them over to Australia. And previous to that, he's always visited Australia, visited around the world, and anything he's saw that caught his eye, he'd try to bring back over to Papua New Guinea and implement that in his business. Yep. So when we had like lodges and like clubs and stuff, he'd bring on ideas from overseas, inspiration to try implement it into Papua New Guinea or into his
it's a mad idea.
Business. So from that I was up till 6. I moved over up till 6. We ended up, that incident happened with my dad almost getting robbed, and we moved over to Cairns. And from that, my mum, my dad didn't move over. My mum and my brothers and sisters moved over to Cairns. We bought like land, bought a house, built a house. So it was me, my two other brothers, and me, my one other brother, and three other sisters.
Yeah. So what a family, man.
Yeah. And the family, it's very massive. It's very big, the family.
Yeah.
And then So my mum stayed with us, and my dad used to fly in, fly out from Papua New Guinea, and from that, my mum was very Seventh-day Adventist, so I was very religious. So we weren't allowed to play with Seventh-day Adventists. This is to my understanding. Forgive me if I get this wrong, but till Friday, till like Saturday afternoon. Friday straight after finish school till Saturday afternoon, you don't do anything but go to church. Yeah, it's very strict. It's like
I've heard like
it's actually like I'm gonna say it because I've been in it. It's like a cult. You know what I mean? Like I'm not here to. I'm gonna say from my experience, it's like a cult, man. Like, so at a very young age, moved over when I was 6, and wasn't allowed to play sports. So anything that has anything to do with sports, anything fun, really, we weren't allowed to do. But as the years progressed, obviously my mum got a little bit more relaxed in the westernized culture. Yeah. And then when I was 8, my dad took me and my brother to the closest rugby league club and signed us up, which was called Ivanhoe's Knights. And from that sort of from there, I met my now pretty much my now sort of step parents. Yep. The step mum and dad. So through one of my mates that I was that I played footy with in the team, it was his mum and dad. So his name's Trent Barnard, and then I met Dean and Sue Barnard, which are now my mum and dad. And from that footy club, just ended up meeting them, and then just ended up meeting them, and then obviously our relationship grew, and me and my mate Trent, our relationship grew. But previous to that, to how I ended up calling them mum and dad was so when we moved over, when my dad was still living in Papua New Guinea, the business that he had ended up going bankrupt. So about within 2 years that we moved over, so this is 1996 that we moved over. So around 1998, he started to understand there was people stealing money within the business, and he started slowly going bankrupt. So so anyone that's an international student wouldn't understand how expensive it is for school fees, especially for like 5 kids. Yeah. To get to, you have to go to a private school. You can't go to a public school. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know. The laws might have changed now, but I'm not too sure. But this is back in the day. So it was like very expensive, and also you got to think about the exchange rate to Kina to dollars. But like Kina back in them days wasn't too bad. It was almost like 1-to-1. Yep. And obviously as the years progressed, it ended up becoming like $3 to 1 Kina. I mean 3 Kina to $1, and obviously so forth to what it is now. But for a long period of time, till about 1990, till about 2003. So all throughout that period from 1996 till 2003, like my dad was slowly going bankrupt, and then 2003, that's when it sort of hit. So that's what it hit when my dad went like bankrupt, and we couldn't afford to go to school at all. So what happened was when financial difficulties happen within obviously a marriage, and they're not like, when the husband's not around much or whatever, like my mum and dad were struggling before the financial difficulties because, he was never around, and my mum had to be like a mum and dad at the same time because, he was living in Papua New Guinea. So she had to, take on the discipline roles as well as, the nurturing roles. And to be honest, to her, like it would be very difficult because she didn't have any sort of any family to help her. And with like Pacific Islanders, they're very family orientated, and they need like when you're bringing up a child, they always have like the sisters or the brothers to look after. It's always a community.
Like the village, like sort of brings that stuff.
Yeah. So a lot of us, like a lot of issues in the sense of us being not having that mother-son emotional connection was probably because of that, because she had to worry about mother, siblings or whatever, and she didn't know like
just
exactly how to be a dad as well and process all that. So, so they ended up, my mom and dad ended up, I sort of splitting up, and then my mom remarried or like got into another relationship with the Aussie fella, and they ended up having a baby around that 2003 year or whatever, and in that time, like a lot of things happened. I'm sort of glossing over everything, but at that sort of time, the 2003 year, we couldn't afford to go to school, so my siblings ended up moving over with my auntie in like Darwin.
Yep.
And I was like the only one with my mum and now newly partner. And my mum had this relationship with the new partner, and they ended up having, a kid, and further down they got married or whatever. So, in that type of sort of in that sense, I felt that like my siblings sort of left me, and then my mum had her relationship. So I was like that's where a lot of my I've noticed a lot of my detachment anxiety comes from. So a lot of my insecurities as well, a lot of things that I do, and I'm willing to sort of identify that, and I'm obviously still working on it, and I understand that's where it came from, but also it allowed me to create the person you see now to be like so driven and so like goal orientated, to obviously be like tell myself when I was at that age, like when I was like 12, 13, saying to me against the world, I'm gonna like I'm gonna win, or I'm gonna fucking show these people like who I am, or show my dad or show my siblings like you leave me, I'm gonna like be this person. So, and I felt like my mum as well had her sort of life, and I was sort of like no one wanted me.
Literally, James Segeyaro was abandoned at the tender age of 12, but he said, "Yes, it is me against the world, but I am going to show them. My dad, my siblings, my mum, and the rest is history." Thanks for following and hearing this heartwarming story as told by James Segeyaro himself, and many thanks to KB Show for hosting this show. Special thanks to Dean and Susan Barnards and the two sons, who were James' best friends, seen together in this picture, for believing in a small black boy, adopted and supported him. We will bring our next segment, which will be on how James got to play rugby league and the struggles he went through to become a rugby league player, winning Dally M title, so subscribe to hear this segment.